with polio, could not walk, had to wear braces for years of her life. And when those braces came off and her legs straightened, all she wanted to do was run. And she was, again, from Tennessee and was a phenomenal basketball player. In high school, she played basketball. And yet she got a track and field scholarship to be able to go to Tennessee State University, and somebody noticed her. And next thing she knows, she's on a flight to the Olympic Games and won 3 gold medals. Everybody probably recognizes Michael Phelps. He says, "I wouldn't say anything is impossible. I think that everything is possible as long as you put your mind to it and put the work and time into it." So think about what he's saying here. He's saying that one can achieve things that most people don't even imagine to be possibilities if you are willing to commit and go all in. Michael Phelps, as some of you might remember, competed in 4 Olympic Games, but he's remembered most of the 2008 Beijing Games, where he won 8 Olympic gold medals, which he's wearing around his neck right there. And that is a obvious, nobody's been able to replicate that. There's another athlete that got close, and we'll get to him in a second, but it's because of this other athlete that Michael Phelps believed it was possible to win 8 gold medals. And so, again, the most decorated Olympian in the history of the world, in history. But again, it's this idea of going out and doing something that everybody said was impossible and believing that you could accomplish that. That is a gold medal mindset. Jesse Owens, another person who completed the impossible. So in 1936, in the Berlin Games, the Hitler Games in Germany, he won 4 gold medals. He won the 100, the 200, the 4x1, and the long jump. And he says the only victory that counts is the one over yourself. You're probably noticing a trend here. Every single one of these quotes talks about self. It talks about believing in oneself. It talks about having intrinsic motivation and passion. It talks about the victory just against yourself, competing against yourself, being the very best that you can be. Jesse Owens did so much for not just track and field, but just for race relations, and showed what was possible in winning 4 gold medals in track and field the first time that it ever happened. Another great Olympian, Al Oerter. Al Oerter, and there's a Lindenwood connection here. So Al Oerter was a 4-time Olympic gold medalist in the discus. So he won Olympic gold in 1952, 1956, 1960, 1964, and 1968. In 1960, when Al won the gold medal in the Olympic discus, he actually won it competing against a man by the name of Dick Cochran. And Dick Cochran is the reason I am at Lindenwood, because Dick Cochran persuaded me to come to Lindenwood to help coach the track and field team. And Dick was the interim track and field coach at the time, but Dick Cochran won the bronze medal in the same Olympic Games that he was competing as a teammate of Al Oerter's in 1960. But Al Oerter says, "I didn't set out to beat the world. I just set out to do my absolute best." Again, gold medal growth mindset, not competing against the rest of the world, but competing against oneself. And the great story about Dick Cochran, who was Al's teammate, Dick Cochran, as he tells it, threw a massive throw that would have won the Olympic gold in 1960. But the officials had turned around to watch a race on the track and didn't see where it landed, and he had to throw it again. And so Dick Cochran could have been the Olympic champion to stop Al Oerter doing an amazing thing. He won 4 consecutive gold medals in the discus. The only person who's ever won 4 consecutive gold medals in track and field was Carl Lewis in the long jump. So a remarkable record. But Dick Cochran was his teammate in 1960. And he was the track coach at Lindenwood. Gold medal mindset. So Peggy Fleming. So in Grenoble in 1968, Peggy Fleming won a gold medal in figure skating. And she says, the first thing is to love your sport. Never do it to please someone else. It has to be yours. That's a powerful, powerful message. If you get nothing from this presentation today, get this. Go away, do what you love, and make sure that you give your very best to it. That's how you develop the gold medal mindset. And it doesn't matter whether you're an athlete, a chess player, an artist, an actor, an actress, a mom, a dad, a marine biologist, but be the very best that you can be while doing the thing that you love. And Peggy Fleming did that. She loved being on the ice. That was what brought her joy. And she was the gold medalist in 1968 in Grenoble at the Olympic Games in France. And then we've got Florence Griffith Joyner, one of my heroines, if you like. And FloJo won the gold medal in 1988 in Seoul, Korea, in the 100, the 200, and the 4x1. And at the Olympic trials that year, she ran 10.49 for the 100-meter dash. That record in 1988 still stands today, 32 years later. She says, when anyone tells me I can't do anything, I'm just not listening anymore. Think about that. When anyone tells me I can't do anything, I'm just not listening anymore. How often do we listen to people around us that are telling us that it's impossible, we can't do that, and we listen? We just need to put on our earmuffs and just stop listening. But FloJo, everybody said it was impossible to break 10.5 for a woman. At the time, men were making Olympic semifinals running under 10.5 seconds. But FloJo went out and ran 10.49. Again, that's a record 32 years later. She's a remarkable woman, and we're going to meet her husband in a second. Gold medal mindset. So Mark Spitz. So in 1972 at the Munich Games, Mark Spitz went for something that everybody said was a crazy goal, to try and win 7 Olympic gold medals. And he did. 7 Olympic gold medals at the Munich Games. He says, I'm trying to do the best I can. I'm not concerned with tomorrow, but with what goes on today. It's being present. It's being mindful of, what can I accomplish today? How can I be my very best today? Not worrying about yesterday, not worrying about tomorrow, but worrying about today. Gold medal mindset is all about being present, being emotionally present to give your very best. And again, his 7 gold medals was a record until 2008 in Beijing, when Michael Phelps said, I think I can go 8. And everybody again said, that's impossible. I mean, just the swim program won't allow it. But he did. He went out and won those 8 gold medals to beat Mark Spitz's record by 1. But Mark Spitz's 7 gold medals showed what could happen in the future. Maybe there'll be one swimmer one day who goes for 9. I doubt it, but hey, we never know, right? So I wanted to go through and just give perhaps a little personal journey. Excuse me if this seems a little weird, but as my last lecture, I thought I would show you how I've been able to develop a gold medal mindset, and the people that I've been around, that's actually helped me become the coach, the teacher, and the person that I am today. And hopefully we can get something out of this too. So it started, again, do you love those pants or what? So in primary school, very small village, middle of nowhere. None of you will ever visit it in your lifetime. It's a tiny little place that I grew up and was born. Went to a secondary school in England where we had to wear uniforms with those crazy people. I won't point out which beautiful young man I am in that picture. Then I went to Clemson. So Clemson University to run track. Was very fortunate to be there at a time when in that, look at that black and white picture. Now I'm showing my age, but in black and white picture, as I look at my teammates, my dearest friends from the past, in that picture, there are 8 athletes and 2 athletes who became coaches who were a part of the Olympic Games. Think about that. In that one track and field picture, 10 of those individuals represented their countries or a country at the Olympic Games. And so that's kind of where the gold medal mindset began, at least for myself, is being around like-minded people who prided themselves on driving themselves to get to the top pinnacle that they could in their sport, which for us was obviously trying to compete at the Olympic Games. And I'm in the front row, and the kid right in the middle is my roommate, Cormac Finnerty, who went to the Olympic Games in 5,000 meters. And in fact, that front row, we got Michael Green from Jamaica, who was a finalist in 1996 at the Olympics in the 100. Anthony Knight, who made the semifinals in the 110-meter hurdles for Jamaica at the same Olympic Games. James Trapp, who played for the Raiders as a football player, but also went to the Olympics on the 4x1. So phenomenal athletes, and they were all gathered in one place, and it was great to be a part of that team through the 90s that won so many titles nationally and in the conference. Oops, let me just go back one. So then, I decided after running my career, I wanted to coach. So it starts with high school, moved on to college. There's a picture of some of my girls, and sorry, it's a bit fuzzy, but that's the Lindenwood girls that won the 2008 Heart of America conference. And so, as some of you know, I actually coached track for the first 4 years that I was at Lindenwood before I went to Hong Kong on a sabbatical for 2 years, and then came back as a teacher at Lindenwood. But the track and field program at Lindenwood was a big part of my life, and I had the opportunity to work with some phenomenal athletes that are out there now doing incredible things. In fact, I think I went to the state cross-country championships with some of my athletes last week, and I think there were maybe 5 or 6 of the Lindenwood athletes I coached in the early 2000s who are now coaching at their respective high schools and making a difference in the lives of those young kids. Again, that's a gold medal mindset. Athletes that have had a positive experience and now are trying to pass it on to athletes that, you know, they're coaching now at their previous high schools. Pretty neat story. And then as the personal journey goes, became a national team coach. Actually, I coached the US team in Sarajevo at the World University Games, took 2 Lindenwood athletes. So there's Lisa Hughes and Mike Torrey. So gave them an opportunity to, they were both throwers. One, Lisa's a shot putter, Mike is a discus thrower. And they both had a chance to compete against the best in the world at the University Games in 2009 while I was the Lindenwood coach. And I got to coach the American team there. And that was a very powerful experience, but even more so as a powerful experience for these young Lindenwood athletes. And then going to London in 2012 at the Olympic Games in my hometown as the coach of the Hong Kong team was a life full circle, which I talked about in my TED talk, which some of you may have actually heard already. So, but where does this take us? It takes us to this idea of how do we develop this gold medal mindset? One of the ways that we can develop the gold medal mindset is surround ourselves with people that can teach us, people that we can learn from, people that have been at the highest level that we would aspire to get to, and then learn from them, have conversations. These are 2 amazing people. On the right, we've got Stacey Dragia. She was the very first Olympic champion in the women's pole vault in 2000 when they entered it as an Olympic sport for the first time. And I had the chance to work with her at a camp in Chula Vista at the Olympic Training Center. And there we were developing some of the Hong Kong, China athletes, and she was fantastic. And watching her coach and run camps for beginning pole vaulters, kids that are holding the poles sometimes for the first time, it was fascinating to watch. And she's so humble, and she's just somebody that wanted to give back. And again, I learned so much from just watching her coach. On the left, we've got Al Joyner. Al Joyner is Florence Griffith Joyner's husband. So Florence Griffith Joyner and Al Joyner were married, and Al Joyner was the triple jump champion, Olympic champion in 1984. And then he coached Flojo, who he married, in 1988 to help her win those Olympic gold medals and break the world records. There's also a St. Louis connection here because Al Joyner's sister is somebody that everybody is very, very familiar with because, you know, she was an Olympic champion herself in 84 in the heptathlon and the long jump. And so she's still very active in track and field in East St. Louis. Okay, moving on. So another way that we develop the gold medal mindset is we have to practice our ability, right? And so if you want to be a great biologist, you have to do biology. If you want to be a great lacrosse player, you have to go play lacrosse. If you want to be a great coach, you have to go take opportunities to coach. And so just as part of my story, Lindenwood was very kind. I was very fond of Dr. Evans. And in 2010, Hong Kong asked me if I would consider going out to Hong Kong, China for 2 years to coach the Olympic team. They just lost their Olympic coach. And so I went out there, and Dr. Evans very kindly gave me permission to take a sabbatical. So I went out there and got to work with amazing young athletes. The athletes on the left are my very first team that I coached at the Asian Junior Championships in Vietnam, which was a really cool experience. And 2 of those young men are on the right and became a part of the Olympic team in London. And at just 18 years old, they're running against amazing people like Asafa Powell. Asafa Powell is an Olympic and world champion and a member of the Jamaican 4x1 world record team. And, you know, it was an amazing experience for these young 17, 18, 19-year-olds to be able to go to the London Olympics and compete against these amazing athletes from Jamaica. But it's providing opportunities to excel. So by us pursuing our talent, we then help everybody around us pursue theirs. And so that gold medal mindset is not actually about us. Most of the time, the gold medal mindset is about encouraging people to actually chase their potential. And I'll show you another picture of the 4 boys. So before going to Hong Kong, China, the Hong Kong record for the 4x100 meter relay, which is 1 lap of the track with 4 athletes, the record was like 39.9. So it's right at 40 seconds. There'd only been 1 team, I think, that had ever broken 40 seconds, which is still very, very quick. But to get to the Olympic Games, you had to run a 38.5 or faster. And that is a big ask to take 1.5 seconds off, 1.5 seconds off an already very fast record. And so these young men were up to the challenge. The average age of those 4 gentlemen right there is actually 19.4. And it was a very, very young squad. But in Taiwan, we managed to win the Taiwan Open, and they ran a 38.47 4x1. They beat Jamaica actually in that race. And that time is the 5th fastest time in the world going into the Olympic Games. And they had a chance to represent their country at the Olympics in 2012. On the right side, we've got some of the athletes who qualified to go to the London Games. So again, it's about creating opportunities to succeed. Behind every athlete, and most times we don't think about this, when you think about all of these wonderful athletes we have at Lindenwood who are competing in the swimming pool, on the track, on the lacrosse field, playing rugby, they're amazing, right? We've got some of the best athletes in the country at this little school here in St. Charles, Missouri. But understand that behind every single one of those phenomenal athletes, we've got phenomenal coaches. One of my favorite coaches at Lindenwood is Jack Cribben. And Jack every year manages to bring out world-class women's lacrosse teams. How does he do that? He does that because he's passionate about the sport. He loves the sport. He loves his athletes, and he's an incredible motivator. And every year, the girls lacrosse team finds himself competing for a national title. And I believe last year, they would have won that national title. But unfortunately, COVID put paid to it. But my point is that around and behind every gold medalist, there is a support team. There is a staff. There is a coach. There is a mentor. Somebody had to teach Mia Hamm how to lace up her boots and kick a soccer ball for the first time when she was 3 or 4 years old. But that gold medal mindset didn't just happen overnight. That gold medal mindset started at very, very young ages. And I would like to think that, I know we've got a lot of students on right now, I would like to think that some of you guys, especially if you're coming in as freshmen, or if you can remember back to when you were a freshman, there were teachers who had that gold medal mindset. There were teachers and mentors who wanted the very best for you, and they taught that way, and they've inspired you, and they've inspired you towards pursuing career paths that, where you can go out and literally change the world and motivate other people to chase their dreams. So the gold medal mindset is as much about creating opportunities for others as it is for you individually to chase your own potential. You should be able to do both things. I mean, think about like your favorite athlete. And think about your favorite athlete and how motivated you are to aspire to perhaps be like them, right? Well, for every one of those, there's somebody coming up behind them. And so we just keep passing the baton. And that's something that I feel very blessed at Lindenwood to be around some amazing colleagues, some of which are on this call. And they've taught me so much too. And we can learn from our peer groups. We can learn from our friends, and we should be open to learning, which I'm going to talk about in more detail. So how can we develop this gold medal mindset? I believe there's 3 L's. And so when you think about this a second, and you can test yourself, am I living a gold medal mindset? If you are, then you are learning to listen to other people. You love other people, but more than that, you love everything that you do. And you are always willing to continue to learn. So listen, love, and learn. Not necessarily in that order, but all 3 are really, really important. And so we're going to break this down a little bit. My favorite thing to do, and always has been when I go to conferences, is just to sit there and just listen to people talk and listen to their ideas, and then take their ideas and then see what you can do with those ideas. Because let's be honest, there's not a lot of original ideas in this day and age. There's a lot of ideas that are just stealing from other things and other people, and just we're trying to make things better. So things evolve, but things evolve because people have listened to people who've come up before them and then implemented ideas and made them even better. I always love the story in 1956 of Roger Bannister setting that first 4-minute mile, actually 9:54. So he ran that first 4-minute mile, something that everybody said was impossible. Nobody was ever going to break 4 minutes. If somebody tried to break 4 minutes, then they would literally fall down and die. And he didn't believe that for a second. And he was a scholar. He was at Oxford. He was an exercise scientist. And what he did, he went and listened. He went and listened to all of these great eminent physiologists and exercise scientists and nutritionists and coaches. He listened and listened and listened. And then he decided to make himself a study sample. He loved running. He was very passionate about running. He was good at running. And he said, you know what, I'm going to make it my mission to see if it's possible to run that sub 4-minute mile. I believe it is. And what did he do? He went out and broke the 4-minute mile. And then within 2 years after he broke the 4-minute mile, suddenly we see an army of people breaking the 4-minute mile. Now the world record is down at 3 minutes, 43 seconds. So think about that. We now, a task that in 1954 was believed to be impossible, now in 2020 is 17 seconds faster. So my point is, we can achieve incredible things if we are willing to listen to others, learn from others, love what we are doing, and then give our very best to whatever we are doing. And so listen, love, and learn is a way that we can all develop a growth mindset. So let's talk about an education just for a moment, because that's part of learning. So why should we, in this journey and quest towards developing a growth mindset or a gold medal mindset, why is education important? Well, let's go through some of the things you get out of an education. So I know we got some freshmen in the room, because I think I saw a couple, not sure, but I think I saw a couple of my UNIV students creeping. And so what does an education give us? First of all, it allows us to find ourselves. We get to discover who we are. More importantly, though, we get to learn how to write. Thank you, English comp teachers. We learn how to speak orally and how to communicate our ideas. We learn how to think, which is probably the most important of the three, right? Learning how to think outside the box and think for ourselves. But there's some other things that we should be interested in gaining in education. And this has been very difficult with this COVID crisis that we're in, and how hard it is to be virtual, because making friends is important. So having those social connections and getting to know people on a very real, intimate level is very, very important. And those friendships will stay with you forever. Opening doors, getting an education opens doors. And finally, it's the time that you get to play and dream. It's where you get to use your imagination. It's where you get to talk out what you want to do when you grow up and what career path you want to go on. And you get to play on the sports field and cultivate your rich talent. Had I not had the chance to go be an athlete at Clemson University, a track and field athlete, I wouldn't be here today, and I wouldn't have had the opportunity to develop my coaching skills and go to Hong Kong, China, and coach at St. Charles High School and coach at Lindenwood University and coach my cute kids in like 4- and 5-year-old pee-wee soccer. And I will tell you this, that coaching my 9-year-old daughter in soccer is just, if not as important to me as coaching an Olympic 4x1 relay team in London. All of those are important. Anyway, time to play and dream. So, I need to go back very quick. I need to give her a shout out. Talking about Lindenwood students, and on the previous one, tried to put some great athletes. That is Teresa Melichkova on the right, who graduated with 2 degrees from Lindenwood, but she was a psychology student and is now pursuing sports psychology because she is a phenomenal tennis player and wants to help athletes help them conquer some of the challenges she had as a junior tennis player when she burned out and had to come back to the sport. And she is a phenomenal young woman, literally changing the lives of other would-be tennis stars through her journey into sports psychology. And these 2 young women, so both wrestlers on the women's wrestling team. AXA on the left actually didn't represent America. She made the Olympic trials in women's wrestling for the last Olympic Games for Rio. And so, but again, great Lindenwood students graduating and doing great things outside. And she's actually now a coach for a small college out west. So again, developing gold medal mindset, other ways that we can actually do that. Well, some of you who have had my classes have probably heard me talk about comfort zone, right? So we all have a comfort zone. It's usually a very small and very narrow comfort zone. Think about an archery target. Think about the bullseye. Well, there's your comfort zone. But we get too comfortable and we end up staying in the bullseye. Well, some people say, well, the bullseye, isn't that where we want to be? Well, not really, because it's pretty small. I would like to explore what's in the rest of the target. And so how do we grow and see what's out there in the outer rims? We do that by taking risks. And individuals who have the gold medal mindset or a growth mindset are those that want to grow. They want to take risks. They want to see what's out there in those outer targets. So they sort of enlarge their comfort zone. There's many different ways that we can do that. In my life experience, one of the best ways that I have found is to travel, to go out and experience different cultures. One of the things I've loved about Lindenwood is the diversity and inclusion philosophy that we have here. We are so blessed to have individuals from so many different cultures, so many different countries, and we have this wonderful opportunity to learn from one another. And so it's one of the highlights actually of Lindenwood University, and I hope that it remains a highlight in years to come, because we can actually expand our comfort zone just by taking a risk and trying to get to know somebody that's different to us, somebody that maybe has a different religion, a different sexual orientation, somebody that's from a different country, somebody that, you know, maybe from a different socioeconomic status. But again, the more and more we get to know people that are different from us, the more and more that we can grow. So developing a gold medal mindset is stepping out of your comfort zone. So here's just some pictures of some places that I've been fortunate enough to visit that definitely have helped me personally, and also athletes that I've coached, grow their mindsets. This is the Brandenburg Gate in Berlin, in Germany. Here's some athletes that I was fortunate enough to take to the Berlin Marathon. Some of Hong Kong's, they don't look like Hong Kong's best marathon runners, but they are. And that was a really cool experience to take these phenomenal athletes and have a chance to run one of the greatest races in one of the most magical cities in all of Europe. So this is in Venice, obviously. And having these growth experiences are really cool, but they're even cooler if you can actually experience them with loved ones. And so some of you know this already. If you've had me in a class, I may have shared it. But when my children turned 8, I always put money away so that when they turned 8, they could go anywhere they wanted to in the world. It was this little goal fun thing, daddy-daughter, daddy-son date. Well, Misha, my daughter, said that she wanted to go to Venice and Loch Ness. So that's where she wanted to go. So when she turned 8, we took a little trip, and we did. We went to Venice, we visited Rome. This is obviously the Colosseum in Rome, and we got to go to, I think there might be a picture here. Yep, there you go, in the, that is in Rome, in the papal place in the Vatican City. And so we had a great trip to Europe over 40, maybe 12 days. We went to Russia, we went to Brussels, Belgium, we went to Paris, France, we went to Loch Ness in Scotland, London, we went to Rome, and it was just a really neat bonding time. Well, this is another way that we can bond, we can grow. And this is a great way to help cultivate that growth mindset in your own children. Because if you give your own children these incredible experiences, we're not very rich. We had to really save our pennies to be able to do this for each of the children. So, but in doing that, you open up their horizons, and we can do that for our own family. So this is my daughter. She wanted to go to Paris. So Brianna, when she was 8, we went to the Eiffel Tower, and she also wanted to go to London. So that was kind of a cool trip. There's Tower Bridge in London. This is in Rotterdam in Holland. This is in Istanbul. My 2 twins that we adopted in Hong Kong, they had always wanted to go to Olympia. They were great runners. They ran in college. They ran as all-state athletes at St. Charles High School, and I had the chance to coach. And in fact, I coached all 4 of these guys, Brianna on the right, and Misha, and Alfred and Arthur, and they all went to state, and I got to coach them at the high school, which is really a cool experience when we came back from Hong Kong. But they had this dream of going to Olympia to see where did the Olympics begin. So that was a really cool experience to be able to take my own children there. I got to take athletes to the World University Games in Australia, got hit by that kangaroo. This is in Vietnam, so coaching an athlete who won a medal at the Asian Junior Championships in high jump. And this is in Pattaya in Thailand. And the athlete on the right won the half marathon there. She's an Olympian from Hong Kong that I had a chance to coach. Cambodia, Sri Lanka, Agra, India, Japan, that's Shanghai, that's Beijing, in the Forbidden City, and there's a marathon in Laowa, and I'm not sure if you can pick me out, I'm the only Mzungu white person with a baseball cap, because it was really hot somewhere along the right side there, but that was cool having that chance to run a marathon in Africa. This is in Uganda, at a village with the Maasai there. and the top of Mount Kilimanjaro. So another different way of helping people achieve dreams. So I had a student at Southern Virginia University years ago when I coached there, who was one of my athletes. So she's actually on the floor there on the left, Jeannie Harmon. And Jeannie said, I've always wanted to go to Africa. You know, I've always wanted to go help kids, but I've always really wanted to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. And I said, well, let's do it. She said, what? I said, let's do it. Let's do a study abroad. So we proposed a study abroad, and I took 6 students that first year in 2002, I think, 2002. And we went to Africa and we built a school and we climbed Kilimanjaro. It was the coolest experience ever. And then went back 15 years later, and now there's a glacier on top. So I've had a chance to climb the mountain twice and got to go with my wife, Anna. All right, so other ways that we can develop this gold medal mindset. So we've talked about gaining an education. We've talked about traveling and taking risks and stepping outside of our comfort zone and trying to look for ways to grow. Well, obviously another way we can do it is we've got to have some direction. So setting goals for ourselves. And those of you who know me know I am a big goal setter. I do this with all of my students and all of my classes. If you are one of my advisees, we have talked about what do you want to do with your life? What do you want to do with your career? Where do you want your life to go? And this is really important. It's important to have short-term goals. It's important to have those long-term goals. But it's also good to have a lifetime goal. And you should never stop chasing those goals. In my sports psychology class, a couple of you have had that, I think. You know, we talk about bucket lists, like writing your bucket list and keeping that bucket list updated. As soon as you check something off that list, put something else up on that list. Because that's, again, how we create this growth mindset, that we should never be content to just settle where we are. We should always be looking to grow. Okay, so it's not good enough just to have goals. So in order to really, really grow a growth mindset and a gold medal mindset, you've got to take some action. Whatever that goal is, whatever that signpost you create for yourself, it is no good having it if you're not willing to take the risk, to take the action, to set yourself up for success. So some of you are probably thinking, you know, I really would like to, you know, maybe I'm about to graduate. I kind of think that maybe graduate school would be good, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm bright enough. I don't know if I'm a strong enough student. I don't really know if it would help me. And so you and ah, maybe you don't do it. And then maybe 20, 30 years down the road, you say, you know, I wish I'd gone to graduate school. Well, don't fall into that category of person. Always take the action. If you have something that you want to accomplish, you've got that dream, then take the action towards accomplishing it. And it doesn't matter how old you are, you can always have goals. This is my cute little daughter when she was playing Y soccer. Like she's 9, she just turned 9. So but this is I think when she was maybe 5 or 6, right? And so we should get as much joy out of spending time working with our own children and coaching our own children as we get coaching anybody at any higher level. And that's one of the exciting things that I've been blessed to be able to do in coaching my own children. But it's not just our own children, right? So we have an opportunity in our lives to reach out and touch others. And so I guess this is another part of what I want there to be for a takeaway from everybody in here today. And that is, how can we serve? How can we make a difference in the lives of others? And through the years, I've been blessed to take students out to Africa, and we've built 4 schools and had a hand in building 2 orphanages. And, you know, the world needs you, and the world needs every single one of you. And if you don't want to go to Africa, then look and see what service can you do in your own community? What service can you do actually within the 4 walls of your own home? So there is such a need right now to connect to people in our communities and people outside of our communities. The world really needs us. The world really needs you. And so if you have that dream, that goal of, you know, wanting to travel, then could you turn it into a service opportunity? Could you combine the love of travel to grow even more by giving a little piece of yourself? And then finally, well, not quite finally, I've got a couple more slides, but the gold medal mindset. Where has most people developed that growth mindset? It's usually probably come from your families. It's come from people you grew up with. It's probably come from schools if you were lucky enough to have good coaches. So we should always be conscious of this. These are my beautiful children who I love very, very dearly. I'm so blessed to have 8 children in my life and a wonderful wife. And this is my life. This is my joy. It's actually the reason why I've decided to depart Lindenwood. So my last day is December 14th. So in a way, this is my last lecture and a farewell to everybody. And but as much as I'm going to regret and be sad that I'm leaving my Lindenwood family, I have my immediate family, and this is very dear and important to me. And so the time that I'm now going to be able to spend with them is incredibly valuable to me. And I saw this picture and I thought, how cute is it? This is my daughter Asia when she was first born 9 years ago. Look at that cute little thing. This is my son on his first day of school in Hong Kong, and Disney. And the last little things that I really want to talk about is this idea of leaving behind a legacy. So at some point, you're going to realize your true potential. I believe every single person here today, maybe you've shown up because you wanted to think outside the box, think a little differently about your own life, or maybe, what either you could do or what you can do to contribute to helping other people. What is your legacy going to be? How can you leave behind a legacy? Because a true growth mindset, a true gold medal mindset is what happens after you hear the national anthem and you step off the medal rostrum. So if we look at incredible athletes, many of them have gone on to be great role models, great mentors, and pioneers in their sport way after they stopped competing in their sport. So that's my question for all of you is, what is your legacy? What do you want your legacy to be? What is the reason for being at Lindenwood right now? It doesn't matter whether you are a student, or it doesn't matter whether you're an administrator, it doesn't matter if you're a faculty member. What is your legacy? What do you want to be remembered for? And I know for me personally, the experiences that I've been fortunate to have in life have not, and the ones that have been the most memorable, have not had anything to do with winning gold medals. They've had everything to do with serving. And I've been blessed to teach many amazing students at Lindenwood. I've been able to travel widely and help build schools in Africa. And I've been most blessed to have some wonderful children. But your legacy could be coaching. It could be teaching, like these little kids on the track. It could be, coaching a national championship team. It could be being a sports psychologist. This is the water polo team that I went to the national championships with as a sports psychologist a few years ago. It could be being a recreation director and taking people through a corporate team building course. It could be teaching classes and making a difference in your community. It could be raising money for a nonprofit. So over a course of several years, we've raised money for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society at Lindenwood. And this year we raised almost $10,000. And then another year we raised over $50,000. And so that is serving, that is giving back to your community. I love my students. I love teaching. It's been the most joyful thing about being at Lindenwood is having this opportunity to be around amazing young people. And it's probably the one thing that, gets me out of bed every morning is because I get to go interact with these incredible students. So here's my final word on the gold medal mindset. And so, I started with a picture of a Lindenwood athlete, and I kind of want to end with a picture of one of my favorite Lindenwood athletes. Some of you recognize Nicole. Nicole Hemsley was a student in exercise science, and I remember the first day she came into my sports psychology class, and she came in and we had a conversation. She was very excited about this whole idea of sports psychology. She was a goaltender on the Lindenwood University ice hockey team, and we talked about why she decided to come to Lindenwood. And I was fascinated by her response because she said, well, I had a chance to maybe go to some other schools and I could have gone to play, but I wouldn't have been able to be a starter. I wouldn't have been able to start every game. I would have had to maybe come in from the bench and play behind somebody. And Lindenwood was willing to give me a chance to play right away. And I really want to develop as an athlete. I said, why do you want to develop as an athlete? And she said, because my goal since I was a little kid was to represent the United States of America at the Olympic Games. And what was interesting, when she was a little kid, there was not even women's ice hockey at the Olympic Games. She grew up when women's ice hockey hadn't even been added to the Olympic program. But her dream, her goal was to be an Olympian. Well, that dream got a little closer when they added women's ice hockey to the Olympic program. And she came to Lindenwood to play ice hockey. Well, think about that. This young 18-year-old chooses to come to Lindenwood where she's guaranteed a chance to play goalie. She plays for a freshman year, sophomore year, gets better and better and better. She's come to a school which isn't a powerhouse in women's ice hockey. So they don't win a lot of games, but what she gets is a lot of practice. Repetition, 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 repetition. I believe in one game, she saved 93 shots. Think about that for a second. A goalkeeper in a hockey game taking 93 shots and stopping 93 shots and going in. So by the time she had graduated from Lindenwood, she had the NCAA Division I, and still has it, record for most saves in a career. Think about that. How powerful is that? And she had come to a school that allowed her the opportunity to get a lot of shots. And she got invited to a World Championships camp and went to the World Championships and played in a final there, won a gold medal, but that wasn't her goal. Her goal was to be an Olympian. And I remember in that sports psychology class, I asked my students to come up with goals, come up with dreams, bucket list items, and they do a presentation. And she asked me, should I put my goal of going to the Olympics on my bucket list? And I said, what is your number one dream? And I said, well, go to the Olympics. I said, why would it not be there? She said, yeah, right. And so she put it up there. 2 years later, okay, she graduates, she goes to camp, she gets selected for the Olympic team, and she gets to play against Russia and helps America win that game 4-0, keeps a clean sheet, and goes on and gets to hear her national anthem when America wins the Olympic gold medal, and she's a part of it. Powerful. That is a Lindenwood University student doing amazing things. And how and why? Because she was willing to take a risk. She was willing to put herself out there and take a risk. So to end my goodbye is a final word on how do we develop the gold medal mindset, things that we've talked about in the presentation. You've got to have goals. You've got to have a direction. You've got to have an idea of where you would like to go in your life. And you've got to hold on tight to that goal and not let go of it no matter what anybody says to you. You've got to be optimistic. There's my O, optimism. So optimism is all about go to your happy place, go to the growth mindset. It's a glass half full mentality. It's this idea that you won't let anything get in the way of you being able to achieve success in your goals. O, second O, is about opportunity. There are always going to be opportunities that are going to present themselves. But the key is, are you brave enough to take the opportunity when it is presented? I believe that those of you who have come to Lindenwood have an opportunity. Lindenwood has some amazing faculty members. Lindenwood has some great coaches. And so if you want to be the very best that you can be, take every opportunity that is presented to you. But you can't get there just by having an optimistic perspective and an opportunity and a goal, right? You've got to be determined. You've got to actually have that drive to not let go. You've got to be a pit bull. If you want to be a veterinarian and yet you don't have great grades, but you still want to be a veterinarian, find a way, work harder, keep going in school, go follow or shadow a veterinarian and look for opportunities to, be around people who are veterinarians, right? And have that determination to not give up. The bravery piece goes along with the risk-taking. So I see a lot of very courageous people at Lindenwood. I see a lot of very courageous students. There is no substitute for bravery. Why is an interesting one. Yearn, it's a word we don't hear very much, but yearn is this this passionate longing towards wanting something in your life. If you want to be a gold medalist, or you want to be a doctor or a lawyer, or you want to be a kindergarten teacher, or you want to be a mother or a father, or you want to be, a world championship athlete, you've got to be able to yearn for it. You've got to have emotion that's attached to this desire to have this in your life. You've got to be able to visualize it, and you've got to be able to talk about it every single day. And don't be scared to share with people. And if people are naysayers say, oh, that can't happen, then walk away and find other people that will listen and encourage you. And then finally, extraordinary, right? So I love the word extraordinary because it's got ordinary, which is everybody, and then you add the extra to it. Because extraordinary means don't settle for being mundane. Don't settle for being average. Don't settle for being just another face in the crowd. Gold medal mindset is all about doing something different, being something extra. So it's really up to you. And I'm glad I had this opportunity to come talk to everybody. And my goal is for you all, especially those of you who've shown up today, to be extraordinary. It's been an extraordinary adventure. This is my 14th year at Lindenwood. And Randy Pausch, in his book, The Last Lecture, which you should all go read. It's a great, great book. In my last lecture, I'm going to echo him to finish. He actually said, time is all you have. And you may find one day that you have less than you think. right? So think about that. Time is all you have, and one day you might find out that you've got less of it than you think. So don't waste time, don't waste opportunity, and continue to be extraordinary. Thanks for coming, guys, and good luck.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Susan.
Best to you.
Thank you, Susan.
Thanks, Paul. That was great.
Hey, my
Thanks,
pleasure.
Dr. Wright.
Thanks, Matt.
I am really quickly just putting the link to the post-test in the chat. If you are a student and wouldn't mind filling that out, we would appreciate it. But again, thank you so much, Coach Wright. I'm really happy that we were able to finish the semester with your presentation. So thank you for spending time with us this afternoon.
My pleasure. Thanks, guys. Thanks for all coming.
Thank you,
Thank you, Coach.
everyone.
Bye, guys. Thanks, Pamela. Appreciate you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much.
Bye.